I'm Sherri, a CEO, speaker, coach, and author. As a business leader, I'm on a mission to empower women everywhere to embrace their most authentic self by challenging what you already know, then stretch to consider a different perspective. I share moments with people all over the world who are already on that path and are willing to share that perspective with me. Join me as we transparently consider this. Hey y'all, it's Sherri again with another episode of the Pretty Girls Work. Consider this. We're here trying to explore conversations that will empower us as women to be our most authentic selves, where we can share practically and explore how we can practically live authentically in our personal and professional lives, where we challenge each other to think outside the box, to provoke perspectives and consider something different. So let's get it popping and let's consider this. Today is going to be the day of all days. I got my girls. That's why I had to start with that intro song, because I've got my girls with me. I don't know about you, but when I was growing up, I grew up in New York City, South Bronx, until I was 10. And then I came over here. And growing up over here, it was hard to have female friendships. Today, we're going to be talking about and considering how to truly have authentic female friendships. It may seem like a simple thing, like just be friendly, like just be nice, but it's not that easy. There's a lot of obstacles. We bring baggage. Yes, I said it. We bring baggage. We got issues as women, and we're very emotional. We're very territorial. We're very jealous. We're very So to have authentic female friendships is a challenge for us. I know for me growing up, like I said, I came here when I was 10 and I grew up here. I had my teenage years here, and most of my friends were guys growing up. And then I had some female friendships and it didn't go very well. However, that was high school. So I thought, you know what? Once I become an adult, things will get better. Things will be a lot easier. And I just started imagining myself singing that song, girls. And I'm saying, you're my girl, I just felt it. Like I'm gonna have these, this inner circle of girlfriends. It didn't happen. It didn't happen in my earlier adult life. I can say now at the tender age of 50, I definitely have a strong inner circle of wonderful, authentic female friendships, but it took a minute. Today, we're going to talk about it with my girls. And my guests are both very dynamic individually. Child, forget putting them together. Forget putting all of us together. It's going to be on and popping. Let me just say that they're both of them are just very near and dear to my heart. One is a passionate educator who does not mince words and will speak her mind in a blink. And the other is a sought after top tier wedding planner. The both of them, trust me when I tell you, they're powerhouses. And honestly, I really felt so moved by a photo shoot that they did just recently for the holidays. It was a beautiful photo. And I thought, wow, girlfriends do photo shoots? Well, what the heck? I thought that was amazing. And when does that actually happen? So we're going to get into it, and we're going to consider how to have authentic female friendships. Please welcome to the Consider This Convo, Tamika Brown and Chantelle Grant. Welcome.
Hi, thank you. Yay. Thank you for having us.
Girl, I could not wait to have this conversation. It is so needed, right?
Mm-hmm, yes.
As I said, growing up, I had some female friends, but it was a struggle. It was hard.
Yep.
I remember at my 18th birthday, I had my friends who I thought were my friends over. My mother had this little get together and everybody was toasting me. And we're like, toasting to Sherri, all the best and God bless. Mm-hmm. And then this one friend who I promise you I thought was a bona fide got up there and said, I just want to say how much I've hated you all this time. And I don't know why you don't know, like how jealous I am of you because you'll come to school one day with a hairstyle a certain way and the next day. And I was sitting there and at first I was like, ha 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 ha. And then I was like, the
That's not
whole
it.
world
She's
was
dead
silent.
serious.
He was serious. And I was like, first of all, how did I miss that? Because I'm pretty intuitive. Even at a very young age, I was like pretty like dead on. I know how to read you. I was like, how did I miss that? But secondly, I thought like, what is it about me that makes you hate to the point where she was trying to compare herself with me? And so I think that's definitely one of it. So let's just get into it, girls.
You're getting into it. You're getting into it.
This is for either one of you. This is for either one of you. I'm so intrigued to know. First of all, those pictures that you guys did were amazing. I hope that I'm going to try to see if we can find a way of putting it in this podcast because it was just beautiful. Maybe at the end. But I just saw so much love in that photo shoot, so much joy, so much, I don't know, connectedness. And I felt like that is so rare. I'm just intrigued to know what made you guys want to do a photo shoot, aside from it being Christmas and the holiday, winter time, whatever. But what made you guys want to do that?
So I'll take this one, Sherri. So I think this year, kind of all of us in our own way. So we had our other friend Rosa in that shoot as well. And all of us started getting into photo shoots kind of individually. Especially like Tam did a shoot for her birthday. I had done a shoot for my birthday. And I think it was just the whole COVID year had people feeling like we need a little piece of something. Like, can we put on makeup for something and just feel good about ourselves? And it's almost like it was therapeutic. And so we put our girl Rosa on our friend Shanika as well, and she did a photo shoot. And it was just so much joy. Each one of our individual photo shoots, everyone was like, when can we do it again? Type of thing. So what happened was, and Tamika, Rosa, and I had gotten close kind of end of summer through this period. And so what happened was, my childhood best friend now is a photographer and has been for quite some time. And she basically had put out that set, like the at Preto Loft, and was saying, I'm doing mini sessions here for Christmas. And when I saw the set, Sherri, like it literally that's what popped in my head. Like as soon as I saw where we were going to shoot, not having any idea that we would actually do that, I was just like, yo, I want my girls and me in this space to share the joy. Like I just saw that right away. And I knew obviously what she was doing them for was like couples and Christmas. It was all about family Christmas photos, right? Young couples with their dog, young couples with their child, and all that stuff. And that's all your feed basically has been since Thanksgiving, is these holiday photos. But when I saw it, I guess just in this period of singleness for me, I was just like, I had this vision. I messaged them and I was like, this is what I want to do. Are you guys down? And they were like, heck yeah, let's do it. And that was honestly it. Like I knew I wanted the matching. I just wanted it to be cozy and fun, and really to just celebrate what we have all been through this year. Every single one of us actually have had some sort of milestone in our personal and or professional life. And I wanted one image to represent that. So when it was in our home, wherever we choose to hang it, people are like, oh, what prompted that? And I can talk about each one of my girls and myself and be like, you see those boss babes? Like this was what happened in 2020 and we all still leveled up. And here's the joy that you can literally see coming through us.
Literally.
Yeah, literally.
Like, honestly, I like when you talk about that joy, I was like, that's so genuine. Those like, they say a picture, tells 1,000 whatever words or whatever. But I saw those pictures and I was like, this is sincere, genuine, authentic love and joy and fun and all of that. I saw
and
that.
You can see fake photos, right? Like you can see, not like we're saying that, but like, you know what I mean? Like you can pull that out. And so it was fun. It was really fun when we did it. It was good.
Yeah. I thank you guys for that. Thank you for that. I really felt that that was I love the fact that your mind just went there with your girlfriend. So let's talk about like what experience, like, because I really feel like even to get to the point where that's your thought, I need to do this with my girls. Like, that's not, I'm being honest. Like, I'm just telling you 100% real. That's not that I've heard people. I know people do their own photo shoots. Yes. And I know that people do photo shoots for marketing purposes as well. Yes. Something that they want to put out there. So can you do this with me or whatever? But there's ulterior motives for it. Like, not just for the sake of love and joy and because I vibe with you. Like, that doesn't happen. So that really stood out. What would you say? What would you say is like that thing that you guys have had to do internally? Tamika, tell me maybe. You know,
into it.
Right, girl?
Honestly, it's funny because
joy and love, but it's not that easy, man.
No, it's not. But I'll tell you right now, 2020, if it didn't teach me one thing, it is when you revert back to friendships. Chantelle always says something is that you want your friends and you want your significant other to almost be an image of one another, right? So if I want my future husband to do something like this, I need to expect my friends to do that. Yeah. And so when I was going through COVID, if I revert back to what our friendship had to do, break borders. I'm not easy, Sherri. I'm not easy. You know this. We already know. I'm not easy. But I also had to learn.
Really is easy. Are we easy as women, though?
We're not. We're not. But at the same time,
too, we do.
Exactly. But at the same time, too, when you're breaking those borders, you also have to learn to set your own individual boundaries as well. Because when you're in a friendship, you know, like you can love on one another wholeheartedly. But you also need to know when one another needs their space. And I think that for Chantelle and I think the biggest thing, like, she's been in my corner from jump. Like, we both went through similar situations. And I think that's what God melt us together for a reason and a purpose. And then through my health situation. But everything was also had to do with being vulnerable. I was never able to allow myself to be, oh, I got this. Keep it pushing, you know, like you can't. And if I look at my past friendships that have fell through, I wasn't able to be like that. And so I think that that's the biggest thing, right? And if you want that in your future partner, you have to do that as well with your friendships. So,
and honestly, man, you're talking right now to me. You're talking right now, man, because that is hard. That part, because within society has said, be, you know, vulnerable, but on the low. Don't be don't be overtly vulnerable now. Come on now. Because don't put yourself out there, because that's a sign of weakness. Or you're putting yourself in a position to be hurt. And I think we as women, because we've, you know, had past hurts or, you know, whatever it is that we've gone through, we connect sometimes what we've been through to what might happen. Do this coping mechanism where we say,
100%.
I'm just going to protect myself. I'm going to guard my heart. Come on, Christians. I'm going to guard my heart. I'm just going to use wisdom. Okay. All of that BS that we say.
Right? But it's true though. It's true.
It's so true.
Right?
You're preaching.
Yet we don't understand that vulnerability is one of the hardest things to be. So that can't be weakness. It actually is extremely hard to be completely naked in front of someone emotionally. And when you can find that person that you can do that with, that has earned your trust, that you can do that with, that's a keeper. It's a keeper.
It sure is. And that to Tamika's point, I've had to break, like, we'll get into it because I have to tell her this isn't going to go on. Like, if you are not going to be vulnerable, if you are not going to communicate, then I can't be what you want me to be for you if you don't break that wall down. And because of that, especially in the last year, we've been able to be what you see, which is literally 100% real, because we know how to deal with each other, but then it's also been able to help her in her relationship. And I think for me, Sherri, getting to this point has actually been about the fact that my relationship with myself and with God has improved so much, and understanding what unconditional love looks like does not have to be just for a man. And that's where we kind of get mixed up. We act like all that has to go. But why would you only do that for a man when you have this circle of women around you who need that too? So if we can that for each other and love each other unconditionally and love each other in spite of, which is really what it is, in spite of, then we build each other up, we build ourselves up, and then that's going to build a healthy relationship with a significant other. Your healthy relationship is going to build a healthy community. Your healthy community is going to build a healthy nation, etc.
Yeah,
so
100%.
And that's it.
At the end of the day, when us women get it right with each other, and we break off the jealousy and we break off whatever insecurities we have, when we get it right with each other, there's no we run the world. They said it, and we do. Like, let's just be honest. But we have to get past.
Yeah, I love that. I think you said something that just triggered something in my head. You know, I think that sometimes when we go into relationships, specifically friendships, we don't recognize and realize at that time that relationships reveal character, right?
100%.
And we go into it thinking that sometimes, like, oh, we've got so many similarities. Oh, you like me, I like you. Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Whether we have similarities or not, but come hell or high water, you're about to see me. You're about to see me. If you stay with me, I promise you, it will reveal truly who I am. And I think that part there, being able to say to, Tamika to Chantelle, listen, if you're going to give me this BS, we're not going to be able to have this conversation.
100%.
We have to be able to, I need to hear your heart right now.
100%.
That part right there is what reveals character. But when you say, how am I going to be like this with others, like my husband or anyone else in my life, it's got to be something that I've practiced, like this muscle of vulnerability and being able to be this way has to have some type of training.
Exactly.
And so I think our friendships give us that opportunity to build that muscle, but also to reveal the character. Like, why am I? What is my
100%? Right? That's it.
That has been this year heavy on that. What does that mean for me? Why do I feel this way about what this person is doing or not doing?
Yes.
And so for me, it's been really about again, everyone only thinks as love languages for a romantic partner. The way I love on Tamika is not the same way I love on Rosa. Is not the same way I love on you, Sherri. It's not.
It's different.
And so we project what we think this person wants, and then they're not receiving. They're like, oh, what's her problem? And then, like you said, we start rising up in our happiness,
attitude,
and then it's like, well,
for no reason.
For no reason, because we are assuming based on having the conversation to be in the place of vulnerability. So we assume 100%. And then we say, well, she's on her whatever, and I'm just going to be over here. And when she's ready to come in, all of that.
Yeah.
For what?
Yeah. Pride and ego. There's so much. Like we could have literally a podcast just on vulnerability.
Yes.
And maybe we should. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the next one. Like, put more people in and talk about it. Let's talk about the struggle, because we did talk about it a little bit with the vulnerability, but in our experience as women, what is the major struggle aside from vulnerability? Because we've already identified that. Like, what are some of the obstacles that trip us up from when we're trying to connect? The reason why I asked this question as well, I remember we all attended the same church at one point. Love y'all. Kingdom House Christian Center, stand up, love you all day. And I remember meeting, some really great women, and I remember them saying, I don't mess around with, and I'm talking about Christian women, you know what I mean? The unconditional love of God, and I don't want this to be just a spiritual conversation, but I do want to add that in. It's real, right?
That's real.
It happens in the church, it happens outside the church. Yeah. And I feel like, why is it such a hard thing for us to connect? And one of the things that this young lady said is like, I've tried having, female friendships before, and it's backfired, and I've got it. It broke up. It broke me, and so I said, but not everyone is going to be the same. How do we not have the struggle is to not bring our brokenness into, you know what I mean, our next friendships? How do we overcome those obstacles so that we can have real authentic connections with each other? Tamika, what do you think?
It's so funny that you touched on first with church. And I'm not going to sit in it heavy, but I'm going to kind of bring it over to what I'm talking about. Because you know, as we're getting older, you know, a lot of people go to church, they have friendships, they bring them, they mold them, they move on. And a lot of the times as females, we have such a hard time of just looking at one another and just saying, yo, she just thinks she's got it all together, eh? Like, oh, she thinks she's too good. And I'll be honest, I'm guilty of it too. However, in the church, we have a what's the word I'm looking for? We almost have like an uphill like type of like
expectation.
Thank you. Expectation. That's the word we can use. Everyone has to be friends, and everyone has to be nice. Mm-hmm. However, sometimes it doesn't always work that way. No. And unfortunately, those women that have those situations that speak to one another and hurt don't recognize that the new Christians that are coming in are going to uphold them to those standings.
Yeah.
So when they step out into the real world now, or I'm going to say real world, but you know what I mean? Just stepping out at a church, they're going to constantly play back to that hurt that has happened. Constantly remember. Because I'll be honest, I've been hurt before in church and many churches, you know, and I'm constantly now guarded to the certain type of people I speak to and I deal with, and I constantly walk with that.
Yeah.
I always say that my intuition is high because my mom's always told me that. Oh, Tamika, you have such a good intuition. But what it really is that I am careful in the conversations that I have with certain women. And I know that it is something that I need to grow with, but it comes from personal experience. Because I find that as the reason why there aren't strong women to women connections is that we struggle with competition and comparing. And because of that, we go back to your word, Sherri, that you love, authentic. We're not being authentic. Why do we need to constantly compete with one another? Why do we need to compare this and that? You know, like I could tell you right now, like Chantelle's wedding business, for instance, I'm just going to use it as an example. She has never asked me to tell anyone to do a wedding for her. Never. Her work speaks for itself. I will tell people, yo, listen, there's this girl that does weddings, and I'm telling you right now, like, I need to get married tomorrow because her work is so good. So, and you know what I mean? Like, and that's a genuine connection. Same thing with Sherri. If I know someone that needs some sort of work and research with youth, I'm going to come to you. You've never asked me. Mm-hmm. And we know that because your work speaks for itself. And that's what I mean by those women to women competitions and comparing, if that makes sense. So I think that that's where we lack. Absolutely. Yeah. I do.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you're right. I think there's so much to talk about in regards to that. I think, you know, Pretty Girls Work founder, El Mejia, we'd always have this saying, collaboration over competition all the time. Mm-hmm. You know, it's not we say it out loud because we believe that exposure breeds comfort. And we need to say it so that we're exposed to that thought that collaboration over competition has us all winning. But that's not always how we feel.
So true.
And I love the fact that you kept it real and say, you know, it's still a struggle right now. I love that because and I don't want us to, in this conversation, act like as if we've got the answer. We don't have all the answers. We don't. But what we want to do is start attacking where the discrepancies are, where the weaknesses are, so that we can see them, identify them, and say, okay, I want to work on them.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, I love that. I think that going into that thought, that comparing.
Can I just touch on that real quick? Something that I actually started doing.
Go ahead.
Because I'm in grade 6, 7. One of the new things I've done, because if anyone knows, this is when the girls are starting to be like, oh, you know, they're popping, right? They're popping in grade 6, 7. They have big jobs. So now what I do is I do a community circle, and any type of issues that they may have, feelings that they may have, we're discussing it right there and open. So it's a he say, she say, not in my room. It doesn't exist. He say, she say, We're not discussing any type of issues. Like, female drama is what took my life literally took my life in middle school and high school.
My God.
And I'm not allowing it in my classroom. I don't want it.
Yeah.
I say door, it doesn't walk in and it doesn't walk out.
Yeah.
So that I could do a whole day talking
I
on.
love that.
But with the comparing, that's something I just wanted to touch on, is that like, this is like, I feel like if we as women can mold our youth up, we can kind of bring up the next type of generation to, you know, kind of mold them up to this whole women's women. It's possible. It's so possible.
Is possible. I love the fact that your class is that safe place to do that, to be able to say none of that. I have a self-esteem mentorship program that is focused on encouraging and empowering young women to have a healthy self-esteem so they don't have to do that. Social media doesn't help necessarily all the time. And if we don't teach our young people how to handle social media, and I do mean manage it, right? Like if we don't teach them how to manage it, it could be something that can consume them and overwhelm them for sure. Let's just end on this. Here's the last thought. Back to collaboration over competition. How do we, there's just that we can talk about, like, this is just a podcast, guys. You're going to have to come back. We're going to have to come back. We're going to have to come back and talk about it because it's so much. But how can we experience more collaborations, like practically? I think one of the things you said that you were hurt is because of that. I think one of the things is forgiveness. And I don't mean necessarily even forgiving somebody that you're still in a relationship with. I'm saying, like, even if you're not in a relationship with them, forgive them. Let it go. Let that hurt go. What are some things that you feel that we can actually practically do that the audience can actually listen to and say, yeah, maybe I'm going to try that? Because I think that if we take baby steps, even just small step, little 1, 2, then we'll be able to get closer to that most authentic place where we're not feeling as I need to compare, or I can't be vulnerable, or you know what I'm trying to say, or past experience, talk to me today and tell me what I'm supposed to be today. What are practical things that we can do in order to have these experiences?
I'll go first, Sherri. Something very, very practical, and it does fall in line with vulnerability, is to give a non-physical compliment to another woman that you do admire, not necessarily just for how she looks. And that is so practical. And because of social media, we have that opportunity to do that with hundreds of women that we follow. And instead of, remember, social media is our highlight reel. Like, let's talk about that next time too. It is the highlight reel. So you may feel a connection with somebody through the screen, and to give them a compliment or admiration that is not related to their physical appearance. Can I tell you, that's actually how Rosa became friends with me and Tamika.
Wow.
She put herself out there through Instagram, and you saw what you saw through a photo. Because she decided that she was going to message us.
That's amazing.
It literally grew from that. And I do that even with people who are in the industry, other wedding planners, it's not what's for me. It comes down to having a spiritual relationship with whatever you believe in. So for us, it's God. Okay. So you have that relationship. If you truly believe that what's for you is for you, he's not going to miss a beat, and your girls are going to get what they get because of him, and you're going to get what belongs to you because of who he is, then there literally is no reason to compare. None.
Well, it's really just having a strong sense of identity.
Identity. It all comes down to self identity and self-worth. That's at the bottom, like at the end of the day, that's really what it is.
I really love that not physical compliment. I love that thought because that is definitely, that would take thoughtfulness. That you actually thinking about the person. That would actually put you in a position where you have to observe something about them, not in comparison to you. I love that.
Yeah. So that's very, very practical, and it might not, the vulnerability will happen in baby steps, because It's not something you have to do in person, and you can think about it, and then whatever transpires from that can literally only be good things. Like,
yeah, it's true.
I really appreciate that one. Tamika, what would you say is a practical?
But okay, I'm gonna kind of ladder off the social media because I feel like that is really the world that we're in right now. So the only reason I'm going to touch on it again, and the biggest thing is that so many people are doing little small businesses here and there. And the biggest thing I saw, because I tutor on the side, is never take someone who's in the same industry as you as a competition. Take that opportunity to grow with one another. You know, take that opportunity. Like I reached out to this one girl that was tutoring in another city, and I felt like she thought that I was trying to take some of her ideas, but I was actually trying to applaud her for her work. We're doing 2 separate subjects and kind of just see if she wanted some students that I was overflowing from. But that's the problem with us women, is that we take those types of, if we're coming from hurt, we're taking those kind of conversations as competition, or we're taking them as hurt and we're misconstruing them. So I think that, and just kind of walking your talk. So if you expect something, kind of give what you expect.
I love that. I love that. You guys, thank you. Thank you so much. We could go on and on.
I know, it went by so fast.
It went so fast. I know. That's why you're going to have to come back. I want to thank you so much for sharing your heart, your stories, your personal perspectives on how to have authentic relationships with females. It's obviously working because you guys have wonderful relationships, and it's a testament. Like, you don't have to say anything. Like I said, those photos said it all. And it inspired me to say, wow, what else can we do? So I thank you for your time. As we wrap up the episode, we always like to leave our listeners with a captivating thought, something that we'd like them to consider. What is one thing that you would like to leave them in respect to having authentic relationships with females? What was one thing that you'd like them to consider?
You go first. I'm thinking.
Let me see. Yeah, I think the biggest thing is leaving a thought on authentic relationships, you said?
Yes.
I would say vulnerability and authenticity. In order to have those, breaking walls, breaking barriers, and, coming out of the uncomfortable and going into the comfortable.
Okay. And maybe the other way, coming out of the comfortable and getting into the
uncomfortable.
Yes.
Vulnerability and authenticity that's not always comfortable. Yeah. Thank you for that. Chantelle.
I would say your attitude, your energy, and your character precedes you. So whatever you're gonna bring in those 3 categories, you're gonna get back. So attitude, energy, character, whatever you're delivering out there, you will get back. It may not be in the way that you want. So let's consider our expectations. Let's make them realistic of what we expect of ourselves, but what we expect of others. But know that whatever you put out is going to come back. And you know the saying, you are the sum of who you surround yourself with. Yep. And I truly believe that. Consider this. Who do you spend most of your time with? The top 5 people. And if you are not an average of those 5 people, they can be older, younger. That's the thing. You got to mix it up. You got to bring people along with you who are younger to get to the places that you want to be with your friends who are older.
There we go.
So consider that.
Consider this, y'all. I appreciate you, beauties. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Y'all make sure you follow these beauties on Instagram. It's Shanti G and _. It's Tam Brown. Please follow them. They are beautiful inside and out. And I wanted to say thank you so much for allowing us to hear about all of the strength, beauty, and power that can come from authentic female friendships. I love you guys.
Thank you.
Thank
you. Thank you so much for having us.
I love you guys. And thank you guys again for tuning in for another Consider This conversation. Listen, authentic relationships require you to come from the purest place of who you are. And that definitely, when it's being shared, can be scary. But consider this, it's even scarier to journey through life alone. Until another time, we want you to consider this. God bless you.